Hello, Algebra 1 students. This is Mr. Fleming coming to you with another review lesson for the final, which is on Friday. So without further ado, I'll just get started by sharing my screen and we can get started. All right. So here we go. This was the stuff that we did on the Zoom class on Monday. But if you happen to miss that class, this is just for your own records and you can take notes while you're watching this video. Just wanted to say thank you so much for working with myself and Ms. Shobaye during this quarter. Thank you for doing all that Delta math. Thank you for sending emails, coming to Zoom class. You know, your hard work's gonna pay off because all the work you do in math right now is you're building the skills that you're gonna take with you throughout high school. So we're gonna focus on some word problems today, as well as just some other topics. So, you know, you guys still have today to finish your Delta Math word problems in your how-to project. So that's all due by Wednesday night. So hopefully you've done as much as you can. Our final is on Friday. So make sure you know your time. You make sure you're going into Google Classroom at the time you have it. Okay, so without further ado, the first thing to review is graph shifts. So, 1 second. Yes, so if f of x is a function such as x squared and k is a number, how does the graph shift? So you see that for the first two, k is on the outside, and then for the bottom two, k is on the inside of the function. So this would, like in practice, this would look something like this, right? X squared minus 2, because k is just a number. Oh, x plus 2 squared, and then x minus 2 squared. So this is something that is helpful to just memorize. You know that this one's going to go up if you add on the outside. This one's going to move the graph down. And then for these ones, if you have a plus on the inside, it moves it to the left. And then you have a minus on the inside, it moves to the right. So there's going to be one question about this on the final. So just make sure you're aware of this. So what I could say, like outside, outside, inside, inside. And then this would be positive, negative, positive, negative. So just remember that as you remember how the graph shifts depending on those numbers. And don't let this k fool you. It's just a number. All right. So feel free to take notes, and then you can pause the video and take your notes, and then we're going to move on to the next topic. Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about a little bit is correlations. So there's two questions about kind of correlations on the exam. So basically, if you're taking a data, you have one variable and you have another variable, and you're trying to see if there's a relationship between the two, you kind of can have two options. Well, as one variable increases, does the other variable increase as well? Or as one variable increases, does the other one decrease? That would be a negative correlation. And if you see in the no correlation, we can't form a line with the data points. So we know that means there's no connection between the two variables. So if you want to see an example of this, we're going to move on in just a second. So again, pause if you need to. There we go. So for this one, are heating cost and temperature related? Well, as you can see, as temperature increases, right, temperature is increasing as we move to the right, the heating cost is going to decrease. So when temperature is low, the heating cost is high, but when temperature is high, the heating cost is low. That means this is a negative correlation. All right, because they're oppositely related. Okay, so again, pause and take notes if you need to. And for the next one, do people who play a lot of Nintendo Switch watch more hours on YouTube? And we can see that this is just something I made up. So, you know, argue if you will. But looking at this data, there's no relationship between these two variables. So we can kind of say that, well, just because you play a lot of, this person plays a lot of hours on Nintendo Switch, but doesn't watch YouTube a lot. This person watches YouTube a lot, but doesn't play Nintendo Switch. This person watches a lot of them at both. So there's no pattern. So we say no correlation. All right, so there'll be some problems based on this on the exam. Okay, so pause and then let's move on. Okay, so there is a factoring question on the final. We learned factoring kind of during the shutdown through videos. So, and there are some examples of this on Delta Math, so hopefully you've had a chance to practice with those. So, remember, say if we're gonna start with like this one, we have like x squared plus 8x plus 7. Remember, because there's no number in front of this x squared, this is a monic factoring. So we also learned about non-monic factoring, where say you had like a number in front of the x squared, like this would be considered non-monic, but you're lucky there's not going to be any non-monic things on the final, so you're lucky there. But for this one, all we simply need to do is put the number at the end on the top and the number in front of the x in the middle at the bottom. So we know that they have to multiply together to equal 7 and add up to equal 8. So when I think of the factors of 7, well, there's really only one factor, because 7 is, prime number. That you can't divide it by 2, you can't divide it by 3. So I'm like 7 and 1 are the only options, and that works out nicely because 7 times 1 is 7, and 7 plus 1 is 8. So when you're writing your answer, you're going to write it in parentheses, so you know that x plus 7 and x plus 1 is the same as the thing you have up here, which is great. So we're going to do one more of this, and this time we're going to work with some negatives, and this is where it gets a little bit more challenging. So if we had x squared plus 2x minus 24, you make your x, we're going to put negative 24 at the top and positive 2 at the bottom. So we know we have a negative number, so it's multiplied by a positive and multiplied by a negative. So I'm going to list the factors of 24. So 1, 24, 2 times 12 is 24, 3 times 8 is 24, and also 4 times 6. Okay, so I'm looking for two numbers that are 2 apart, right? So like, 24 minus 1, that's 23. 12 minus 2 is 10. 8 minus 3 is 5. But 6 minus 4 is 2. Perfect. So if I have a positive 6 and a negative 4, they're going to add up together to equal 2, positive 2, and then multiply together equal negative 24. So that's my answer, x plus 6, and then x minus 4. Beautiful. So you will have an X method factoring question on your final. Make sure you are aware of how to do this and practice if you need to. All right, so we're going to clear and move on. Pause if you need to take some notes. All right, so then we're going to get into the word problems. So word problems can be a little bit tricky, but it's just a matter of translating what the math you need to do. So here we have kind of like a story about work. So Aaliyah has 2 jobs. She tutors her cousin in math and earns $50 each session. She also works a couple shifts at Stop and Shop and makes $342.50 a week. In May, Aaliyah worked 4 weeks at Stop and Shop and did 5 sessions of tutoring with her cousins. How much money did Aaliyah make in May? So before I start anything, I like to underline things that are important, the numbers I'm going to be using. So I know, okay, she tutors her cousin math and earns $50 each session. This word each is really important because it usually means multiplication, right? So if she works 2 sessions and she makes $50 each session, I know that's 50 times 2, which is 100. Okay, so then she also works at Stop and Shop. She makes this much a week, right? If you have like a week, like a month, that's also going to be like, okay, if she make for 4 weeks, you're going to find the type of money that she makes every week and multiply it by 4 to find out the total money. So also multiplication. So we know that she had 4 weeks at Stop and Shop and then 5 sessions of tutoring. So we're trying to figure out how much money she's made in total. So I'm gonna kind of make some writing to help me out. So for tutoring, I know that she makes 50 bucks per session. And then she did 5 sessions. So I'm gonna do 50 times 5. And then for Stop and Shop, I know she makes $342.50 a week, and then then we multiply that by 4, right? So we know that 50 times 5 is going to be 250, and then if you put in your calculator 342.50 and then multiply that by 4, you're going to get 1370. To find out the total amount she makes in May with her money from her 2 jobs, you're going to add those together. So 1370 plus 250 is 1620, and that's your answer. So she made $1,620 in May. Okay, pause if you need to, and we're going to move on to the next one. Okay, so this is another question that is a little bit challenging, but it's using algebraic thinking to create an expression. So Dariel is studying to be a nurse. To prepare for his certification exam, his tutor suggests studying for 2 hours a day. Okay, that's an important number, so I'm going to underline that. Increasing by 30 minutes each day until it takes the test. Okay, we see this word each again. We're thinking multiplication. So like, if it's 2 days, he should do 30 and 30, 30 times 2. If it's 3 days, 30 plus 30 plus 30, that's going to equal, an hour and 30 minutes. So how long should he study on the nth day? So in this case, nth is a number we don't know. It could be the first day. It could be the 4th day. It could be the 7th day. But, we don't know. We're just going to leave it as n. So to make an expression is kind of an algebraic statement with no equal sign. So we know that he has to start studying like with at least 2 hours, and then every day he should increase by 30 minutes. Well, the first thing I notice is that I have hours and minutes, so that can't work. I do know that 30 minutes is half an hour. So I know that I can do, half an hour times the days, right? So if he does, 7 days, he should do 7 more half hours than he started with. So I'll do 1/2 n. All right, so this is your expression right here. Some people also, you could say like, okay, well, 30 minutes, well, how many minutes is in, 2 hours? Well, 1 hour is 60 minutes. And then 2 hours is 60 times 2, which is 120. So, you could do 120 plus 30n, change it to minutes. And that works too. And that's going to be how much minutes he needs to study. So n represents the number of days multiplied by, the 1/2, the half an hour you're increasing by each day, and then add to your starting value. So that's the expression. That's it. That's all you have to do. You don't have to solve for anything. You're going to leave it as an expression. Okay, so we're going to clear this and move on. Pause if you need to. And great. So the next one is kind of the same thing, just a little bit different. So we have Alicia is working with a personal trainer. Her trainer says she should start by lifting 10-pound weights and then increase the weight by ½ pound each day to build her strength. On the nth day, how heavy will her weights be? Okay, so I see 10-pound weights and increase the weight by ½ pound each day. That's, our sign for multiplication. And then on the nth day, how heavy will her rates be? Well, I know she's going to start with 10, so I'm going to write that first. And then, so she's increasing by half a pound each day. So if, I'll do 1/2 times n for the amount of days. So, that's kind of how it should work. So there's your final expression. Again, you just have to write an expression. That's it. Okay, and I think that is the last problem. So again, pause if you need to take some notes. And that is it. So I appreciate you guys working really hard to study for your exams, and best of luck on Friday. All right, have a good one.